Hola. Hi. So now you join me under the car where I'm going to show you how to remove this lower subframe, which is the U-frame, and the engine cradle from underneath. So let's spin you around. And also look at the amount of oil residue that this oil leak has caused. A lot. So obviously once that comes out, we'll be able to see much more. But these have all been replaced. These gaiters on the steering rack, I actually replaced them because no, I haven't. No, I haven't. I thought I had to replace the track rodettes, but I have not. They look quite old. Maybe another car. Right, so this is what we're going to do. First thing to remove is this U subframe, right? So if you look under or through here, we've got one bolt there. I believe that's a 14. It's a 17 or a 19 in there. Could even be an 18. Wouldn't surprise me. Can't remember for sure. We've got another one which looks like a 17. And then just work your way. Oh crap! Just got loads of grease on my hands. Great. So there again, that's a 17, I think, or 19. And just work your way around. When you get to the front, this is the front of the vehicle, you will find one 12mm, that is, one 12mm bolt. Leave that till last, and I'll show you why later on. And then we just work our way around, more 17 or 19 across there, and then same here again. This one you can see from above, it's just there, it goes all the way through. And then we'll come back around again, similar to the other side. It's recessed, so it's inside. You've got this 14 head and then a 14 here. Now you don't have to undo this one all the way, just undo it enough so you can slide the subframe back to, or towards the front of the car. And same with this one that's recessed on the end of it. And this is as far as it goes. Doesn't go any further down the back of the car. That's as far as it goes. So that's the view you're looking at. Right, so that's our next job. And then once I remove that, I'll be back to show you the rest. Whoop, whoop. Okay, update time. So there are 3 different types of bolt head sizes on this subframe. 14, which there are 2 bolts on each side, which are these. So these are on the end. There's one here and one at the recessed bit, which we're going to leave those in, and I'll show you why in a sec. And then as you carry on further down the subframe, this one here is meant to be a welded on nut, but it broke off, so it came together with the bolt. I had to rip it off together, which is here. But if you do have to do the same thing and yours is snapped off, this is a, what size was it? Hold on. It's a 19. It's a 19mm headed nut and a 17 bolt for some strange reason. Right, so going back up to the top frame, the rest of them are all 17s except for one, which is this one here inside the actual recessed hole, and that's a 19 on both sides. The rest of them are all 17s all the way around. So, and we just got one 12 hanging somewhere there. Right, so now it's time to remove the actual subframe. So if I just, nah, I can't hold it, let me just pause. Right, you can see me better now. Now we have a 12 somewhere. Let's just find it, which is here on the gun. Remove that. Here. Right, here we are. Benefits of greasing things example is the one that fit this, so just do that. Comes in handy to have okay, all out. Now we're going to put it forward, and it should simply not come off. Okay, I've missed a couple of let's push that back into its place. Missed a couple of clips, which are these buggers here. It's literally just two, so I'm just going to grab the tool for it. Right, so I've got the right tool. Just remove the clip. There we are. That's what they look like. It's got like a top bit and a bottom bit. So one on each side to remove. Remove that side, and then just remove one on this side. That's it. Right, put it in the tray, and it's ready to come down. That's why I was saying earlier on to leave that bolt here for last. I've already removed it, forgetting about those clips, and it just simply just pull it forward, and that's it. It's out. Let's push that all the way back and just walk it. Rest back of the car. Right, so let's show you the rest of it. So now that the subframe is lying down over there out of the way, next job to do is to disconnect anything that is attached to the subframe. Basically, this is the upper engine subframe. This is, so what we're going to do, there's a brace that needs to be removed, which is this brace across here, and all it has is two nuts and bolts here, which I believe are 12s. Hold on. Right, and then we have two, they look like recessed, so they must be just nuts, these ones. These two here, you got nut and a bolt. Most likely they are nuts and bolts. These ones, they're 12s as well. These are 14s, these two nuts. These are 12s again, but these are recessed bolts as well. And then we have these two nuts. Right, so yeah, I was saying, just got to remove this little cradle, little bracket, and that will reveal the power steering rack itself. And after that, we've got to remove the wishbone. We've only got to remove this side. Right, so as I was saying, we've only got to remove this side. We don't have to remove that side. We do have to remove the anti-roll bar bush clamps. So you've got a 14mm nut and a 14mm bolt. Is there a nut on the other side? It might be a captive nut on the other side, hard to tell from this angle. We're going to disconnect the anti-roll bar drop links, at least one side, and probably the bottom one, simply because it's easier to get to. And then we're also going to undo this headlight leveling sensor. That we're going to unplug it, and we're going to undo this little nut here, which I believe is a 10mm nut. Or if that don't come apart, then there's also something, yes, or this nut, whichever one you can get to, and it's a bit more intact than the other. Do that one, and that will release the anti-roll bar and the wishbones, and this cradle will give us access to the power steering. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So on this side, we're going to do exactly the same thing, and then I'll come back to you, see how we're getting on. Whoop, whoop. So just removing the anti-roll bar drop link bushes, drop links themselves I should say. So what you need to do is you have a hexagon bit on the ratchet, which is a, I think it's a H5 possibly. It's a 5 point. Yeah, I think it's a 5. And then a 17mm headed nut. So I love these long spanners. They're so good. It gives you nice leverage. So that's how you undo the anti-roll bar drop links themselves. And mine's pretty much undone now. So I can remove the setup, and I've just dropped it all. Lovely. Put that nut. And it's got a washer as well, nut and a washer. And that should well, I've got the anti-roll bar undone from the bracket, so it should make my life easier to remove it. So I just thought I'd show you how to remove that. And if you look in there, you'll see the hexagon bit, hexagon head. So yeah, okay, crack on. Whoop, whoop. Quick tip on how to physically maneuver the anti-roll bar itself to remove it, right? So let's spin you around. Now, there it is. So one of the anti-roll bar drop links, which is I chose to do the passenger side, got to release the top nut as well as the bottom one. Bottom one, take it off altogether. This one, which attaches to here onto wishbone, and the top one, just release it. So it's still on there, but just undo it and undo most of it. It gives you a bit more flexibility like this, and it allows you to actually remove it. So we are pretty much undone with that. Just got this side to do, and that should just pull off just like that. And good exercise is to put back the washer and the nut back on. One, you don't damage nothing gets damaged, like the threads and stuff won't get damaged in the process. Two, you won't lose it. It's good exercise to maintain. Right, now we can see how much of an oil there is still on this power steering. Crazy. So I think we're gonna have to undo. If I undo both of those, hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, that connects to an actual right, that connects to the bottom of the power steering pump. So I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit first before I go ahead, before I carry on. Thinking if I undo this threaded nut, flare nut I think it's called, if I undo that, then hopefully I can drain most of the system from that point. If I can't, I'm going to undo that one as well and just let it drain out. And once it's all drained, then I'll come back, clean all this up because it is still filthy. Use some brake and clutch cleaner and compressed air to get rid of most of the oil, because every time I touch this, even by accident, I'm still covering myself in oil. It's also across the subframe as well and inside the gearbox. So it's literally everywhere, it seems. Anyway, just cracking on. Boop, boop. Alrighty, so show you where we're up to now. So I've cleaned all this up as much as I could. Doesn't have to be spot on because this is only coming off anyway. It was only because I've just been getting covered with a lot of stuff all the time, like lots of grease and stuff. So that's why I just cleaned it all up. Now we have removed these two pipes, drained the system. Not huge amounts of fluid has come out. A lot of dirt has come out, that's for sure. It was filthy. And there's the pipes up here, so they don't just carry on leaking. just left them resting there. So next job, we're going to mark up these lines with Tipp-Ex. There, there and there. 3 different spots. Underneath, I'll show you in a second. So we now marked the steering knuckles, not knuckles, joints. Let's just go with that. Universal joints. So there's 2 of them on this, upper and a lower. But we're only going to remove the lower one. So I'll leave that Tipp-Ex to settle a little bit, and I'll show you what's going on underneath while that's curing. Also, these are the 2 spanners you'll need to remove that bolt or nut here and the one here. Those are 12s, which is that, and the ones above up here are 17. One's a 17 and one is like a 14. So where's my 14? There it is. So these are the 3 spanners you'll need actually. 12, 14 and a 17 open end spanners, so that you can get them around the pipes. Specifically designed for that job. Now we have removed the anti-roll bar completely now. That massive bracket that was here has also come off. The triangle one sitting over there, and it's also been roughly cleaned. What's next? So next we are going to remove, I think we'll do this on both sides. Actually, we'll focus on one side. We'll do that. Lower control arm front bush nut and bolt, which looks like it might be welded in place actually, but even if it is welded, that's going to crack as soon as I put a bit of pressure on it. So we'll put some penetrant on that just to make sure. We are also going to remove this track rod end at the hub there. So we're going to remove that pin, and we're going to remove that castle nut and remove the whole thing out. And as I was saying earlier on, we've got a couple of 10mm bolts to do there, a little some kind of up here somewhere, just in the middle there. There is also a plug we've got to undo for the level sensor. And I think we're going to be ready to remove. So we are going to remove this, what do you call it? The power steering rack separately. So I'm going to remove that first, just to get out of the way. And it will most likely carry on leaking. That's why I have this massive tray here next to me. And there's all the old fluid inside that little bucket. Well, some of it's still across the tray, but you get the idea. It's filthy when it come out. A lot of debris in it. And we're also going to remove this one from this side, which definitely doesn't actually, it might not. Nah, that's not captive nut, that's just a normal nut. So it's going to be a nut and bolt job on that one. So I can actually show you better here. You've got the split pin. Hold on. Oh yeah, there it was. Like for a moment there isn't one, but there is. Split pin and a castle nut there. Remove those, so on both sides, and it will just drop down, and we'll be ready to remove this steering rack. You got, I think that might be a 14 and a 14. That's what they look like. They're all 14s actually, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4 there as well. So you've got 6 bolts in total to remove the steering rack itself, and it should come down from its housing. It should just drop downwards. Right, let's crack on. Whoop whoop. Alrighty, let's give you a bit of update. See what's going on. So we now have the steering rack out. Now you'll see, that bit there is what joins onto the universal joints. You see my Tipex mark. So the idea right now is not to move this steering rack at all, left or right, so it doesn't spin. You'd also see above, there it is, up there, it's just dangling. So I'm not going to move the steering at all either, to make sure it doesn't move a millimetre. Now that this is out, we can crack on with the rest of it. Hopefully the rest of it should be much easier. There isn't huge amounts left really. We just got to focus on this on both sides, lower control arm bushing, which is the front bushing. On this side there's no level sensor, it's only on one side. So once that's out, then we've got two nuts up there, quite big nuts. I think they're like 19s, that's what they look like. Might spray some with penetrant just to be on the safe side. And then just a level sensor on this side. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there is anything else that needs undoing other than the subframe itself. So we're nearly there. That's it. Let's crack on. Whoop whoop. Alrighty. Let's show you what I've been doing, innit? Right. Subframe's out. There it is. It's all rusty glory. Welded cracks everywhere. Or weldings that have been cracked. Literally all over. I do have to remove this little bracketry here. This is the foot level sensor. So I need to make sure that I remove this from here. But I need to make sure, yeah, I can get in there and put some penetrant on it. So I don't want those bolts to snap. Definitely not. If you look and see in here, you can see them just poking out. There, two threads. So I'm going to spray that. Make sure it's not going to cause any issues. But I do not want them to snap. Now, I have also had to undo this this bolt here for the I think this is called the anti-lift bush. So that bolt was held in with as part of the what do you call it? The other subframe. That's it, the U subframe that goes around there. That was held in with part of that. I think I could have not removed that previously to remove the subframe, but it was just made life easier. Obviously this side didn't actually fully remove it, I just released it just so that this lower control arm still stays up there. Didn't want it to come all the way down, it's swinging my way. And I've done exactly the same thing on this side. You can see over there, just released a little bit, so that gives you enough space to actually move it. There's that plug that plugs into the level sensor. Make sure you don't forget to unplug that. And basically we are now almost ready for the new subframe to go back on. So I'm removing it from, it's still in the back of the car, so I'm going to remove that out of its packaging and see what it came with, what it hasn't come with. As far as I know, my mate did supply the original brackets and nuts for it, which are these. Look, I show. See on the actual structural part of the chassis rails, this is where they come from, so they actually slide upwards. Obviously they're a bit seized in there. We can reuse those, there's nothing wrong with them, but what I'm going to try and do is refit, hold on, that's it, refit those nuts if I can, duplicate it a little bit. Right, there we go, get a full thread on it so that the nuts on there properly. And if you do want to remove it, which I'm going to because I'm going to fit the new ones, get the correct size socket, which is a 17 all round. All 4 of them are 17s, and you see it's got a flange on it. And if you just whack it with a socket, it should release from above. This one most likely it will just go together with the other one anyway. This one is the one that seems like it's a little bit rusty. Across here, same again. The front one seems to be a little bit rusty, back one's okay. So yeah, just to push them out. Actually, that one's a bit loose. Alright, so that one actually might come out easier than I expected. Anyway, either way, that's the way I'm going to remove them, with a socket and a nut on the end. And it's just a matter of putting everything back together. And then obviously once I do put it all back together, there's a couple of things I need to do. One is to bleed the hydraulic system for the power steering. That will need some new fluid, ATF. I've got some of that in stock. What else? And I think that's pretty much it really. And once all the subframe stuff goes, actually no, haha, nearly forgot, donut. Right, the job I've got to do, brake lines. So now that I've dropped the subframe, it just gives me so much more space around there to actually remove these brake lines. And most likely they're so corroded, I'm going to try and clean them as much as possible, see if I can actually reuse the existing pipes. I would rather use the originals than make up some new ones if I could help it. But if we can't, then we can't. We're going to have to make up some new ones. It is what it is. So we'll see how that goes. As you can see, the gearbox is actually holding itself up. It's still in its cradle, even though if you have a look there, I have loosened those nuts. When I was raising the gearbox up to remove the engine, I needed it to do that, so I've done it then. And also I've got this dog bone sitting back in its original place, so that's the reason it hasn't dropped down, so it's still supported. So for this job you don't actually have to remove this. Now this job can be done with the engine in situ if you really wanted to, even though it does make life so much harder, because those pipes that you got to get to that are sitting above the cradle, yeah, I don't think you have a lot of access to that, due to the whatever's above. I think it's the turbo actually. Turbo sits directly above it, so it makes sense to remove it. It just makes life so much easier. But I didn't remove the engine for that reason. There was other reasons that I removed the engine for. It was all those oil leaks and stuff that you've seen in the previous videos. That was the main reason for the engine removal. However, it made life so much easier for the brake lines and for the subframe removal. So I'm grateful for that. Alright, lunchtime. I'm hungry. Alright, I'll be back. Whoop, whoop.